Did you know that the most famous boxer in history risked everything? His career, his fortune, his freedom, all because of a religious conversion that happened in complete secrecy? You'll never believe what Muhammad Ali discovered in a small meeting room in Miami that would change not just his name, but the entire course of American history. This isn't just a boxing story. This is the incredible journey of how Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali, and how one man's faith shook the world. But what happened behind closed doors in 1961 will leave you speechless. Asterisk, in 1960, 18-year-old Cassius Clay returned from the Rome Olympics with a gold medal around his neck and the world at his feet. America's golden boy was everything the nation wanted: young, talented, charismatic, and seemingly perfect. But what nobody knew was that beneath the confident exterior, Clay was searching for something deeper than championship belts. The young fighter from Louisville, Kentucky had grown up in a world where his talent was celebrated, but his identity was questioned. In the segregated South, even Olympic champions faced discrimination. Clay began asking questions that would soon lead him down a path nobody expected. But what he discovered in a chance encounter would change everything. Asterisk, picture this. A young Cassius Clay, curious and searching, walks into a Nation of Islam meeting in Miami sometime between 1960 and early 1961. The room is filled with African Americans discussing pride, identity, and spiritual awakening. Clay sits quietly in the back, listening to words he's never heard before. Words about black excellence, self-respect, and a different understanding of God. Malcolm X was there, his powerful voice cutting through the tension in the room like a knife. Clay watched, mesmerized, as this articulate minister spoke about transformation, about shedding the chains of mental slavery, about finding true identity through Islam. The young boxer didn't know it yet, but his life had just taken a dramatic turn. But what happened next would shock the entire world. Asterisk, for the next 3 years, Cassius Clay lived a double life. By day, he was the loud, boastful young boxer, predicting victories and entertaining reporters. By night, he was studying Islamic teachings, attending meetings, and slowly transforming his worldview. He kept this secret from almost everyone. His family, his trainers, the media. Clay began reading extensively about Islam, particularly the Nation of Islam's interpretation, studied under ministers, asked endless questions, and gradually embraced teachings about black pride and Islamic spirituality. The transformation wasn't just religious, it was deeply personal. He was preparing to shed not just his name, but his entire public persona. But the world had no idea what was coming. Asterisk, February 25th, 1964, Miami Beach. Cassius Clay faced Sonny Liston for the World Heavyweight Championship. Everyone expected Liston to demolish the young challenger, but something was different about Clay that night. He fought with a confidence that seemed almost supernatural, a purpose that transcended boxing. When Liston couldn't answer the bell for the 7th round, Clay had done the impossible. He was now the heavyweight champion of the world. Reporters rushed into the ring expecting the usual Clay bravado. They got something completely unexpected. The new champion's first words weren't about boxing. They were about transformation. "I don't have to be what you want me to be," he declared. But what he said next left everyone speechless. Asterisk, the day after his victory, Cassius Clay dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves across America. In a packed press conference, the new heavyweight champion announced that he was a member of the Nation of Islam, the golden boy of American boxing had just revealed he belonged to what many Americans viewed as a radical religious movement. "Don't have to be what you want me to be," Clay repeated, his voice steady and determined. "Determined I'm free to be what I want to be, and think what I want to think." Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed frantically, and America watched in stunned disbelief. Their beloved champion had just shattered every expectation, but the biggest shock was still coming. Asterisk, initially, Clay announced he would be known as Cassius X, dropping his slave name of Clay. But on March 6, 1964, Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, bestowed upon him a new identity entirely: Muhammad Ali. The name meant beloved of God and Most High. The transformation was complete. The boastful Cassius Clay was gone, replaced by Muhammad Ali, a man who saw his boxing talent as a platform for something greater than sports. Ali understood that his fame came with responsibility, and he was prepared to use it to challenge America's conscience. But what he didn't realize was how much this decision would cost him. Asterisk, the reaction was swift and brutal. Newspapers across America condemned Ali's conversion. The Washington Post ran headlines about brainwashing. Sports writers questioned his patriotism. Fans who once cheered for Cassius Clay now booed Muhammad Ali. Death threats arrived regularly. Boxing promoters hesitated to book fights. Many Americans felt betrayed by their former golden boy. How could their Olympic hero join what they perceived as an anti-American movement? Ali faced hostility everywhere he went. But instead of backing down, he stood firm in his convictions. "I know where I'm going, and I know the truth," he said defiantly. But the ultimate test of his faith was approaching fast. Asterisk. In 1964, Muhammad Ali traveled to Africa, connecting with his ancestral roots and deepening his understanding of Islam. This journey was transformative in ways he never expected. He visited Ghana and Nigeria, meeting with leaders and experiencing African culture firsthand. The trip expanded Ali's worldview beyond the Nation of Islam's teachings. He began to see Islam as a global faith that transcended race and nationality. He met Muslims of all colors and backgrounds, challenging some of the separatist ideas he had initially embraced. This experience planted seeds of change that would later blossom into a more universal understanding of his faith. But his biggest test was still ahead. Asterisk, in 1966, at the height of the Vietnam War, Muhammad Ali received his draft notice. The U.S. military wanted their heavyweight champion to serve his country. But Ali's Islamic faith and his growing understanding of the war's moral implications led him to a decision that would define his legacy forever. Ali applied for conscientious objector status, claiming that his religious beliefs prevented him from participating in war. "War is against the teachings of the Holy Quran," he declared. But when his application was denied, Ali faced an impossible choice: betray his religious convictions or face the consequences. What he chose next made him a hero to some and a traitor to others. Asterisk. April 28, 1967, Houston, Texas. Muhammad Ali stood in a military induction center, facing the moment that would define his character forever. When officials called Cassius Clay to step forward and take the oath of induction, Ali remained motionless. 3 times they called his former name. 3 times Ali refused to respond. An officer warned him he was committing a felony punishable by 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Still, Ali stood firm. "I ain't got no quarrel with those Viet Cong," he had said earlier. His Islamic faith wouldn't allow him to participate in what he saw as an unjust war. But the price for this stand would be enormous. Asterisk, on June 20th, 1967, Muhammad Ali was convicted of draft evasion. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, fined $10,000, and banned from boxing for 3 years. In an instant, the heavyweight champion lost his title, his career, and his freedom. To travel, Ali was 25 years old, in his physical prime, with millions of dollars in potential earnings ahead of him. Yet he chose principle over profit, faith over fame. "I'd rather be in jail or dead than a hypocrite," he declared. While his case was appealed, Ali was banned from boxing in every state. His career was over, but his faith sustained him through the darkest period of his life. Asterisk, during his boxing exile, Ali's understanding of Islam continued to evolve. He began questioning some of the Nation of Islam's more radical teachings, particularly their views on racial separation. His study of traditional Islamic texts opened his mind to a more universal interpretation of the faith. Ali started connecting with mainstream Muslim scholars and communities. He realized that true Islam preached unity among all believers, regardless of race. This gradual shift would eventually lead him away from the Nation of Islam toward Orthodox Sunni Islam. His faith was becoming more inclusive, more universally loving, but his greatest vindication was approaching. In 1971, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Ali's conviction in an 8-0 decision. The court ruled that his conscientious objector status should have been granted based on his sincere religious beliefs. After more than 3 years in exile, Muhammad Ali was free to return to boxing. The man who returned to the ring was different. From the one who had left, his Islamic faith had deepened and matured. He was no longer just a boxer who happened to be Muslim. He was a Muslim who happened to box. His spiritual journey had transformed him into something greater than a champion. He had become a symbol of courage and conviction. By the mid-1970s, Ali formally left the Nation of Islam and embraced mainstream Sunni Islam. He performed the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, where he experienced the true diversity and unity of the global Muslim community, praying alongside Muslims of all races and nationalities reinforced his evolved understanding of Islamic brotherhood. In 2005, Ali adopted Sufi Islam, drawn to its emphasis on inner spiritual development and divine love. His faith journey had taken him from the racial separatism of the Nation of Islam to the universal brotherhood of traditional Islam. And finally, to the mystical depths of Sufism. Each step deepened his connection to God and his commitment to peace and understanding. Muhammad Ali's conversion to Islam wasn't just a personal spiritual journey, it was a catalyst for social change in America. His courage in standing up for his religious beliefs, even at enormous personal cost, inspired countless others to follow their convictions regardless of popular opinion. Ali showed America that true greatness isn't measured only by victories in the ring, but by the willingness to sacrifice everything for principle. His Islamic faith transformed him from Cassius Clay, the Louisville Lip, into Muhammad Ali, the greatest, not just as a boxer, but as a human being who stood for justice, peace, and spiritual truth. Today, Muhammad Ali is remembered not only as the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time, but as a man whose faith gave him the strength to stand alone against an entire nation. His journey from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali proves that sometimes the greatest victories happen outside the ring, in the quiet moments when we choose faith over fear, principle over profit, and truth over popularity.